Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Biz Chicks TV. This is the place for tips, tools, strategies, and everything you need to take the hassle out of your hustle so that you can run a profitable business that's fun to run. And so today is Friday, which means it is time for Tech Life Weekly. We're going to be talking all things tech, consumer tech. We're going to be talking social media. We will be talking media. We will be joined shortly by Terry Johnson Online, and Dr. Tachi. And Terralina all has also submitted a story for our review. So let's get started with this week in tech history. Okay, so this week in tech history, let me pull this up. September 29th, 1983, the Lotus 123 spreadsheet software was announced. It became hugely popular on IBM PCs, revolutionizing business computing. October 1st, 1982, Sony launched the first CD player, the CDP 101, marking a shift in how we listened to music, moving from analog to digital. October 3rd, 1995, eBay was founded by Pierre Omidyar. Originally called the auction web, it changed how people bought and sold online. October 1st, 2010, Instagram was launched on iOS. It became one of the most influential social media platforms, changing how people shared photos and videos. September 30th, 1955, the first transistor-based computer, the TRADIC, was delivered to the U.S. Air Force. It was a big leap in computing technology from vacuum tubes to transistors, making machines faster and smaller. Okay, now on to tech that's making history this week. 1. AI for scientific discovery. AI is transforming how new knowledge is discovered with breakthroughs in areas like protein folding, with DeepMind's AlphaFold, and new antibiotic families. It's revolutionary science by accelerating data analysis and prediction, and synthetic data is gaining traction for privacy in collaborative research. Reconfigurable intelligent surfaces. These surfaces are enhancing wireless communications by dramatically changing shape to improve connectivity, particularly in smart factories and remote areas. Climate tech. Innovations like elastomeric materials are making cooling systems more sustainable by avoiding harmful refrigerants. Microbial carbon capture is also gaining attention for converting greenhouse gases into valuable products like biofuels. These developments are shaping the future of AI. Now, on to some more tech that's making history. In the consumer realm, Bluetooth Auracast is set to change how we use headphones. It will allow multiple people to tune into the same device's audio, making it ideal for public spaces like airports or events. This feature could revolutionize how we share audio. Smart rings are emerging as serious competitors to smartwatches. New models like the Amazfit Helio ring and the Samsung Galaxy ring are combining health tracking with other smart features, pushing the wearable trend forward. AI gadgets are gaining traction, with the Rapid One leading the charge. This handheld device lets you control apps using natural language, hinting at a future where we spend less time swiping on screens. Okay, so that is your tech in history and tech making history. I'm going to pull up a story that Terralina shared today, and let me get that for us. It's talking about a hydrofoil. So I'm going to pull that up. All right, let's get to this story on hydrofoil. I should have that high. Let me do this first. Okay. I don't know if you can hear that because I can't hear it. So let me stop this for a second. I'm going to start it over. Because I did not have the audio on. Sorry, guys. Stand by. And I'm going to start this little story one more time. Let's do a presentation. Do that. Click share. Audio's up.
But I think the key thing that we really wanted to prove is that you can drastically reduce emissions and you can save a lot of money by going electric. And that's now possible with the technology we have developed over the last 10 years.
What's inside your ETF? Does it follow a disciplined process? Can it adapt to changing markets? With the Eaton Vance Total Return Bond ETF, you
Okay. Well, that was a hydrofoil, which is very interesting. And I have a couple of things here. Dr. Tachi will be in here shortly, and I'm going to put another. Looks like we're going to have an abbreviated show. Terry Johnson is sent in her stories, and Dr. Tachi will be in for media. Terralina sent in the story on the hydrofoil. Anybody have any questions about some things happening in tech? And how are you using, is anyone out there using AI, and how's that working for them? Are you getting used to it? Are you feeling a little bit more comfortable with it? So there's been a lot of AI talk, so really interesting stories. And I'm going to grab a story that I saw this morning from Tech Brew, and it was talking about, let's see, it was talking about how the government was cracking down on some things. Yeah, on some things. Hey, Dr. Tachi.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well. I was trying to find this story about on some things. Hey, Dr. Tachi.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well. We have a little feedback. Find a story about. Okay. The Federal Trade Commission is cracking down on companies making big claims about AI. On Wednesday, the FTC announced cases against 4 businesses the commission claims made allegedly deceptive claims about AI-driven services to market and sell their businesses. In addition, the FTC announced a settlement with another company that allowed users to create fake customer reviews using Gen AI tools. The batch of cases, part of an enforcement strategy dubbed Operation AI Comply, involved 3 companies that the FTC alleges promised profitable digital storefronts that never materialized. The commission also settled a case with the company Do Not Pay, which offered legal services, but according to the FCT complaint did not conduct testing to determine whether its AI chatbots output was equal to the level of a human lawyer and did not hire or retain attorneys.
Huh.
Okay.
Wow.
So you're going to put out a chatbot that says you can help people. I don't know what Do Not Pay means. So don't pay for a lawyer. Well, in that case, you get what you pay for, right?
Well, I have a bridge to sell you if listen, at some point, what is that Latin saying? The buyer beware, basically it translates into English.
Yeah.
And that is not saying that I am for companies misleading the public when it comes to products, particularly AI? Not at all. But can we do a little bit of due diligence? And I know AI is still new, but that is no excuse. Is anybody else tired of the tomfoolery and the foolishness? I'm like, can we start to use the brains that we have been granted? And you know, if you are completely new to technology, I can see maybe you would be bamboozled or the wool may be pulled over your eyes. But that's why you do. If you are new to technology, you don't do things on your own. You enlist the help of people who actually know.
You come here on Fridays and we will tell you all about the tech
Exactly.
that's happening and why you should not hire a chatbot lawyer.
But see, this is why they're not paying us enough to give this kind of advice. I'm telling you, nobody is paying us enough to deal with this kind of nonsense. Wouldn't you know? I think they have to add to that saying now. You know how they say a person who defends themselves in court has a fool for a lawyer? Or I should say people who defend themselves in court have fools for lawyers. Well, someone who hires an AI chatbot as an attorney has a fool for a lawyer. Add to that saying now.
Yeah, because that just don't make sense. And we know that sometimes the AI hallucinates, so you're going to get a hallucinating lawyer.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, and here's the thing, in addition to that, I think AI, I would say the internet, right? But AI has also turned everybody into an attorney, just like they've turned, like WebMD turned everybody into doctors. Oh, now you know.
You ain't go to school 1 iota.
Exactly. But we have to keep this in mind. That's not to say if you are an attorney, if you are a physician, pediatrician, whatever in the medical field, to devalue what you know, because you know what you know and you learned it well. But you also now have to understand that you are competing with these other sources, particularly when it comes to, I have to pay you to get the service. And there are people who don't have the money to do it. Why do you think so many people look up their ailments on WebMD? Okay, that's what I have. And it could be completely wrong, but it could be on the mark. And WebMD and all these places give, and even if you put in information into ChatGPT, for example, it will give you the disclaimer in terms of doing further research. So that's why this is so dangerous. I don't know if there is a disclaimer that this may not be 100% accurate. You basically are on your own, brother, if you use me as your attorney.
I don't know if they put that in there. Maybe that's why they are standing in court right now and defending this.
You have to take the onus off of you. If you build something and somebody is foolish enough to take that as the same thing as somebody who is a circuit court judge, then again, I have a bridge. I can sell you the Brooklyn Bridge with no problem.
Even though I don't own it.
What does that matter? You'll believe I do.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I have TJ's story for social media, and then you'll have the floor. Yeah, there's some really crazy stuff happening. So okay, we're gonna go here. That's on. Okay, volume is up. I had to look, I haven't done the whole present thing in a minute. Here we go. Social media roundup for the week. And I believe we can share that. We see that well.
Hold on. Yeah, we see it.
Okay.
It looks great. I love the graphic.
I do too. I'm gonna have to ask her where she got it. Well, I know where she got it, but
this is what AI can actually do.
Meta AI's Gen AI Imagine features expand across Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. Meta AI's Imagine features, which use generative AI to turn text prompts into images, are now being expanded across Facebook and Instagram. Users will be able to use prompts to generate AI photos directly in their feed, stories, and for their Facebook profile pictures. The AI can also suggest captions for stories on Facebook and Instagram as a part of this update. Meta says it's also testing new AI-generated content in Facebook and Instagram feeds where it will display AI images created for users based on interests and trends. Meta AI gets lip-sync translations and celebrity voices. Meta announced that Meta AI can now respond back to questions out loud across platforms where it's available: Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, and Facebook. You can choose from several voices, including the AI clones of celebrities that Meta hired for the purpose. This feature is similar to Google's Gemini Live, which transcribes speech before having an AI answer it and reading the answer aloud using a synthetic voice. Instagram launches signature sound of the app. Instagram has created a new signature sound for Reels, which will be appended to the end of every reel that's downloaded from the app. This is signature sound adds a branding element to IG content, which becomes recognizable as the sound of the app. Instagram says that this is part of its new sonic identity, a simple and iconic sound that's designed to fit with every reel. Instagram adds new stickers. Instagram has added 38 new stickers, including beloved classics like hearts and days of the week, which you can add to stories and reels. TikTok launches expanded subscriptions feature for creators. TikTok has redesigned its subscription monetization offering. It is rolling out to eligible creators in select regions, with expansion to come in the following weeks. TikTok's subscription feature is the app's answer to Patreon. This feature also competes with Instagram subscriptions and YouTube's channel memberships, both of which allow creators to grow their earnings by giving users access to additional content and perks. Subscribers can get access to exclusive content, including videos, lives, and notes that are only visible to paying users. To access subscription, creators need to be at least 18 years old and have at least 10,000 followers and 100,000 video views in the past calendar month. And that is your social media news and updates for this week.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of wows going on there. Okay, so I'm going to start from the back with TikTok. Okay, Mark has a comment.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, a couple of comments. Hey, Mark. Mark says my attorney Alexa objects.
It's you know what? It's not a joke. It's basically the same thing.
Mark said, "Dear Meta, how about this? Create an AI that will actually respond to my multiple appeals over my mistaken Facebook suspension. How about that?" I don't think it actually. Okay. I don't know. It's I don't know how some stuff gets done and other stuff doesn't, but
It doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to it.
no, it doesn't. Then there's like with this last story about the TikTok and getting the subscription. I don't think you have to have 10,000 followers on YouTube to have the subscription feature, right?
To have people to have subscribers with the what is it called? It's not, because you can have subscribers, but there's a special thing like if
where
you want
you
to
can become.
It's like a Patreon for your subscribers.
It's a paid member something.
Yes, a membership. That's what it's called. I don't know what the
I'm gonna look it up.
subscriber count is. Yeah,
Because
I'd be interested to know.
yeah, what are the requirements?
So as you're doing that, the interesting thing about this whole thing is that if you're going to do something like subscriptions or whatever, it also follows that you have to have something of value to offer your subscribers, your followers, outside of what you already put on there. Because what's not going to happen is somebody paying for, just the regular information you put up there. So you really have to think about, if you want to do a membership or subscriptions, what do you have to offer? So you've got to now tier, in a sense, the information that you put out there. So things that are of value, definitely put them out, because that's what will get people to want to see more, but then know what that more is. So, because I think it's a great way to monetize and involve your community and offer even more value if you know what you're going to offer. And if you have the time, because I haven't done that type of thing yet, because I'm like, I'm already doing X, Y, and Z. I don't have time to do extra stuff. So,
Right. So I found the answer here. It
oh,
says,
cool.
yeah. So to enable channel memberships on YouTube, a creator must meet the following criteria: be a part of the YouTube Partner Program.
Never mind.
The Partner Program is where they pay you for your ads.
Mm-hmm. You,
And
yeah.
4,000. I think you have to have 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers.
So it's
Yeah.
2 levels. The
Yes.
be eligible for things like super chat, super hearts, and those types of things. The fun things where you can monetize a little bit. You have to have 500 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours to be do the AdSense share. It's 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours,
Correct.
or a certain amount of views on your shorts for both.
Okay. Yeah, which was a lot more because the shorts are short.
It's like 10 million.
Right. And to have to do the membership, you have to have a minimum number of subscribers. The channel must have at least 30,000 subscribers or 1,000 subscribers if it's a gaming channel. So TikTok is not that far off, asking for 10,000.
Yeah. Here's the thing with those things. And I understand you have to have parameters in place, so you don't just get any and everybody, because you're not just going to pay for any and everything. But then when you think about it, don't you sometimes get any and everything because people are trying to hit that metric, and it's like, yeah, I want to stay with my channel goals and my channel theme, but let me just add this in here. Let me add this in here. And so it becomes a race or a hamster wheel of what's popular, and of course what's popular, but it's like, are you being true to what you want to do? Because yeah, you could sit there and do popular dances, do things, do these challenges, and that would be all your channel is about. So you would hit the metric, but do you really have any true community members? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it can mean that as well. So you, in setting up that metric or those parameters of making sure you have this amount, you also have some people who will try to meet this amount by any means necessary.
Right, and the content is garbage.
Correct.
And so I followed somebody, and because their main content is really good, and then so I subscribed for $4.99, but it was like crickets. You never got an update on anything. They were selling product, but
see,
I don't need to pay you $4.99 to buy product.
And that's what I mean, that you found somebody that's really great, that has great content, but the B content or the supplemental content was trash, because probably they spent all their time doing that main content, and it's like they don't know what to do. They just see another opportunity to monetize, but you really have to add. Listen, if you're asking people, I don't care if it's $1.99 or 99 cents. If you're asking people to pay, you really have to have value. And sometimes it's hard as a creator to know, well, what is this worth, right? What value? Am I giving too much value for this amount? It's
and it wasn't exclusive. You know what? It wasn't something that I couldn't get on the main channel. I was like, okay, so
Right. Those things should be exclusives. And what I tell people is, so say, for example, you have a podcast, right? And you have a Patreon. You can offer perks and things, swag and different things like that. That's fine. But that only lasts for a little while. So then what can you do on a continuous basis where people will get value? So I always tell people, like, for example, you have a podcast, it's on Patreon. If it's an audio only podcast, give them access to the BTS or behind the scenes video, which is why I'm like, if you're doing a podcast, you should always also shoot video and just have it. And even if you don't use it initially, that's something that you can use to offer as a perk for your patrons.
Yep.
So don't give them everything. You're giving them the whole, not only a slice of cake, but you're giving them the whole cake, the knife, the fork. You open their mouth and then you put it in their mouths and you move their jaws so they can chew. You're giving them everything. Don't give them the whole thing.
And I see that. And some stuff could stay behind a wall. But it needs to be very valuable and very close to the free stuff that you're giving away. And the free stuff that you're giving away needs to be of the caliber that they would want to pay for it.
Exactly. Exactamundo.
It's like, okay, I'd pay more for this. And, you're only getting a little 10-minute clip of something, or I'd pay for the whole 30 minutes, or I'd pay for the longer version or something. But yeah, make it good. Mark has a question here. Not a question, a comment. He says, on YouTube, you don't have to pay. On IG and TikTok, you have to pay.
Pay for.
I believe we were talking about the subscriber thing on TikTok. But Mark, if you can let us know exactly what that was, because I was like,
Yeah, give me just a second. My computer is about to go south. Let me plug it up.
Yeah, so there's subscribers on YouTube, which is the people for subscriptions you don't pay. Memberships you pay for. And then on IG, if you want to have a membership, I believe on IG or Instagram, you can pay to be in somebody's little club and get supposedly more content or more something, but it wasn't.
That is correct. On Instagram, you can. But some of the people I'm sorry. This is no disrespect, or maybe I do mean to be disrespectful. Some of the people I see that because you get the alerts and the notifications of such and such, has a club, not a club, but what is it called on subscription membership? Yeah. So such and such has a membership, and it's like join. I'm like, I see the content on this person's regular page. Why would I join their membership? The regular page lacks value. Why would I join their membership? And the problem with those types of things, think about all the different people that you follow. And I'm speaking specifically on Instagram, right? Because generally, if on YouTube, you're probably not following as many people on YouTube as you are on Instagram. I follow a lot of people on YouTube, but
I do as well.
But still, Instagram, I think I'm following slightly more. Even if half of the people I follow came up with, I'm not paying for all of those things. I decided I'm not paying for anybody's stuff on Instagram, because the experience is just not going to be that wonderful because of the way Instagram is. If I'm going to do that, I would do it on YouTube, where at least I could get a full screen experience.
Right.
Longer videos, etc.
And it would have to be okay, so Mark has a point here. He says, here's what I do not need: more subscriptions. So think about the subscriptions as the magazine. Remember the people who used to come hawking magazines at your door?
Yeah.
And okay, you can get this life and this and this and this and this and this, and you sign up for all these magazines for one low price or whatever that crap was. And you had all these magazines stacked in the house, but you never read them.
Looking as nice and pretty on the coffee table.
Mm-hmm. But that was a subscription, and they wanted you, oh, you subscribe to Good Housekeeping. Maybe you would like to do Better Homes and Garden, and you subscribe to Town and Country and Sunset, and and it went on and on. And those subscriptions were the equivalent of the same thing that we have the subscriptions on the TV right now.
Absolutely. And, after a while, you sit and say to yourself, is this really worth me paying for? And then slowly but surely, they start to go by the wayside. I remember at one time, okay, so I still do get some publications, but they're trade publications and they're industry, so they're free. So I get like streaming media, I get broadcasting and cable. So I get those things, and I like the physical. I get the digital copies, but I like the physical copies too. And then I just recycle it after if I'm not using it again. So those are the things I don't pay for. But I used to religiously get a subscription for Essence magazine. I would do Marie Claire, Vogue. So I would do a few. I would get Black Enterprise. So I would always get a few. Ask me now if I have any of those. I don't, because when the subscriptions ran out, I was like, is it? It wasn't. They were great, but they piled up. When I got busy, I didn't have a chance to read them. I wasn't going back to them. And then they ended up being old. I would skim through and then recycle them right away. And, I don't like a whole lot of stuff around like papers. I can't stand extraneous papers. I've solved that problem. Thank goodness here they have a recycling program. The Broward Sheriff's Office every month does shredding. So if you have stuff to be shredded, you could take 2 boxes, and they really don't say anything if you take 3 or 4. So I have come to love paper-free house. So I don't want magazines and things cluttering up anymore.
Yep. See, I was like, okay, this is not cool. And that's what was the digital version of that on YouTube or Instagram or whatever is, if I'm following, say, 200-300 people, I'm not paying subscription to each one of them.
Right. Yeah. So there is a point, not that they didn't think that through. I don't think that these companies care, because that means they don't have to pay creators, because now not only am I bringing my valuable content to the platform, now I'm getting my own audience to pay through subscription. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then there's less of an incentive for these platforms to pay out.
Yep.
And after a while, there's like, yeah, I'm trying to support, but yeah, I can't.
And neither should you spread yourself thin, because too many voices, you get confused.
That's very true.
So
that's very true. And then you end up wasting your money if you're not taking advantage of the subscriptions, because maybe some of them have valuable things to offer, but you just don't have the bandwidth.
You're tired, don't know where to look. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. So subscriptions, I think you should be very mindful and do your due diligence to whoever it is that you're going to pay for, and not because they're popular, so I'm following them, or whatever the reason may be. It's got to be good enough to move you, or for you to use the information that is being disseminated. That is probably the best reason.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. And I know there's some people that are doing great things with their memberships. There are just a lot of different memberships, not to talk of the traditional subscriptions that we have. Now you're adding the subscription/memberships of content creators.
Yeah. So we are discussing Terry Johnson's story for the week, and what I will do is put that in the chat, since I can do that.
Look at technology.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, let's do that. Let me make sure. Let me go back to history. So as it plays the music. So, and one of the other things in her story, excuse me, she was talking about how Instagram has where you can now use AI to create images and stuff for your profile and feed and stuff. So now we're just gonna have a bunch of fake people in the
Yeah. Well, we could argue that there are already a bunch of fake people.
it was their own people, fake people. Now
Yeah.
fake people who are fake.
Actually fake.
Right. Yet you done created them and made them up. And then, oh my goodness, I was like, seriously? And then they're going to use clone voices to respond back to you. So I can have a voice of a different actor or person. Okay. I'm like, why?
But you know what? All of this really takes a lot of time. And what I said this, I've been saying this all week. It takes so much energy to be evil.
It does.
Just be good. Do things for good. I'm telling you, that same amount of energy, if you did it for good, I wonder what would happen. You would flourish. So the same amount of energy you take in making a fake image, and this is if you're intending to defraud, to make a fake AI image, to clone a voice, that's what you could use for you to get you further. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same amount of energy. Actually, it's more energy to do something evil because now you're always looking over your shoulder.
So it says Meta's AI, Gen AI Imagine features expand across Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger.
Now, WhatsApp?
It didn't say WhatsApp.
Okay.
It said,
oh, well, I can probably guess why.
WhatsApp was listed in something else, but it wasn't this story. So, okay, that is still the same story. Let me move over here. Users will be able to use prompts to generate. Let me do this. Present, share the screen, and go like this. Okay, you all can see that?
Yes.
Okay, so users will be able to use prompts to generate AI photos directly into their feed. Okay, see, I'm having issues already with this. Who has time to, this is dress up. Okay. Into their feed, their stories, and for their Facebook profile pictures. So now who are you? So that's as bad as having the no person in the profile.
I do agree with doing it, though. I don't mind when people have avatars, whether it's an AI avatar or whatever, because sometimes you just don't want people to see you. Sometimes you want to protect your privacy, but you still want to enjoy social media. So I'm okay with it like that. I will say from a practical standpoint that if you are trying to get people to know, like, and trust you and eventually convert to customers, you can't have that. You need to be you, unless you are selling AI services.
Right. It's also testing new AI generated content in Facebook and Instagram feeds where it will display AI images created for users based on interest and trends. So now they're going to pick some stuff for you and say, hey, what do you think about this? How about no?
Mark has a comment.
Okay, let's put his little comment up.
Mhm.
I'm like, come on, guys. I did some AI videos a couple months ago. I wrote the script, AI generated the images, and used my clone voice. With the exception of a couple of tiny speech variations, the voice is spot on. It is.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
They've gotten very good with cloning the voices.
Yes, which is great and scary at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
But I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'll choose to look at it from the good end of the things that it can do. It can save you time. Instead of having to record, you can simply write the script, or write a concept and have something like a Chat GPT generate the script, and you correct it and make it you have the AI voice bot do your voice, and it will generate the images, and you get your message out. I think the point is getting the message out, and at the end of the day, that's what I understand, the craft of things. After all, we're all craftspeople in terms of what we do in media, podcasting, etc. But we also have to realize that time is limited for some folks. So that's a good way to think about it.
And it does work, because TJ created this story for us using her voice. And I like it. I like the graphics and everything she picked. I was like, okay. And so this is that they announced Meta can now respond back to questions out loud across platforms where it's available. This is Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp, and Facebook. You can choose from several voices, including the clones of celebrities that Meta has hired for this purpose.
John Cena is everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I'm like, didn't I just see him somewhere else? I guess, wrestling. Wait, what was he in? He was in wrestling.
WWF.
Right. And yeah, he's like, okay, instead of, brain damage over there, let me get into something that can pay me.
Wow.
Okay, I think these are the top things that I saw in I didn't know Gemini Live did transcribe speech, and having an AI answer, reading this answer aloud using a synthetic voice. So
I didn't either. I haven't delved that much into Gemini to know that.
Right. So now there's a signature sound also to Instagram Reels. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know what it was, because it didn't sound like a sound.
Has created a new signature sound for Reels, which will be appended to the end of every reel that's downloaded from the app. This is signature sound adds a branding element to IG content, which becomes recognizable as the sound of the app. Instagram says that this is part of its new sonic identity, a simple and iconic sound that's designed to fit with every reel. Instagram.
Okay, so that little da-da-da-da-da was it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
They're doing TikTok basically, because at the end of TikTok it has that little blip. That's what it is.
Oh, okay. So we're copying again.
Why are you surprised? What do I call Meta? Master of none.
They don't create. The only thing they created that is working, and they copied that too, was the glasses.
Yes.
They took, okay, so Google didn't stick with Google Glass long enough to get it fixed, right? And then Snapchat is trying to do something with their glasses. I was reading that. Yeah, Snapchat has their glasses now that is AR or whatever, but they don't look cool.
What are they called? Spectacles?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't look cool as they used to. The other spectacles were pretty okay, but these are not good anymore, or
They
not.
look like Google Glass. Google
They
Glass
don't
was
look.
ugly.
These are ugly too. Spectacles. They're not that cute, and I was like, "Why are you doing this?" And these are the ones by Snapchat spectacles. It's like, why are you doing? And they're not cute. Oh my gosh!
They were doing really well with style for a while.
And they lost it. Okay, I'm gonna show a picture because this ain't cute. I would not be wearing this. I'm sorry. Present. Share the screen. Get closer with friends. I'm not wearing them.
What in the Fisher Price Instamatic camera is this?
Ooh-wee. I said, wait a minute.
Who asked for this?
See, and I'm thinking Snapchat is getting out of their realm because now they're putting the little AR stuff into your realm or whatever. But this is not cute.
It's not. And it's one thing, this would be acceptable if these were VR glasses because they're lighter. This would be 100% acceptable if they were VR.
Yes,
but they're not.
They're not. They are AR, but you can't play games on them. You can't do stuff with. I was like, okay.
All you can play is Pokemon Go. Never mind.
And you can take pictures or video or something. I was like, why?
But you can't be incognito with them because you see how ugly they are. People know right away what they are, and they're like, "Are you taking pictures? Are you taking video?" The Ray-Bans that you have, that's the way to go. So what these companies have to do is you've got to merge function with fashion. You need to team up with an eyeglass maker. Well, first of all, most of the sunglasses now are made by one company, Luxottica, right? So I don't know why you wouldn't pair up with Luxottica and say, all right, well, which of these brands can we team up with? You have a treasure trove of style at your doorstep if you did that, because the Ray-Bans are beautiful.
Ray-Bans has a reputation to uphold. So they could have spent more time in the lab with this and figured out a way to make this stuff work.
So that everybody doesn't come out looking like Buddy Holly. What is this?
They're just not cute. And then, Amazon has glasses too that look like glasses. They don't look like this. And now I think that what they're trying to do is to get them where they're, like you said, AI. Virtual, where you can virtual reality. Immerse came out with something called Visor.
Yes,
that they look a little bit more like glasses, but you can do your office stuff working in a Visor for Immersed. Let me see. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. And it's I don't know how well it works.
Remains to be seen, huh? And the other factor in this is price.
Oh yeah. Visor is trying to give you $50 off. Let's see.
Which means it's expensive. $50 off, that's a lot. That means it's expensive. Whenever you see somebody's like, oh, $200 off, that means it costs $75 million.
Okay, and let me show you the screen for the Visor. And this is what they're trying to do, because I've used with my Quest, And I liked having my screen around me. Okay, doing this again. You cannot, people tell you you can multitask, you cannot, or not effectively.
No.
Okay. So you notice this is looking kind of like the Vision Pro, except for its glasses, right?
Yeah.
You still have that, all your screens in one device. And it's the same thing we would have it just doesn't have all the same thing as a Quest. But you can have the computer screens all, you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that might be nice.
Yeah, if they could configure this so that it could be immersive VR and you could go into the metaverse with this, that would be a game changer.
Right. And see, so everybody's trying to get down to this, going from the big goggles down to this. If they can make this work, they're going to be on to something.
And they will.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, Ready Player One is coming.
Exactly.
Everybody with glasses on in the middle of the, sitting in the street or, just on.
Yes.
So that is TJ's report on social media this week. And so you now have the floor.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So hello everyone. It's Tachi back again. I just have to say this. I really am not intending, I don't want to be political, but today, but there are lots of media stories stemming from the presidential campaign. So of course I'm going to, talk about them. So just a word of warning. But first, we have to say rest well. Dame Maggie Smith, who passed away at the age of 89. Yes. If you don't know who she is, she was on Downton Abbey, in Harry Potter. Also, what's the movie with Whoopi Goldberg? Sister Act.
Yes.
Yes. She's so many films and television shows. She is actually one of Britain's best known actresses. She's had a really long career, everything from stage and starring opposite Sir Laurence Olivier and Othello, to roles, as I said, in Harry Potter and Downton Abbey. And her sons shared this in a statement, and it was shared by their publicist, Claire Dobbs. She was born in 1934 in London, shortly before the start of World War II, of course. And they moved to Oxford, where her father worked at Oxford University. Who knew that? So she didn't go that route, though, because she attended the Oxford Playhouse School from 1951 to 1953 and made her stage debut in an Oxford University Dramatic Society production of William Shakespeare's Twelfth Night. So that's where it really started for her. And she's been in so many things. She is a stellar, or was a stellar actress. Really, really enjoyed her, and she will be missed. So rest well to Dame Maggie Smith. Were you a Downton Abbey fan, or do you watch Harry Potter? Or
I've seen her in a lot of different movies. I'm trying to think, was she in Room with a View or something? I've seen her in a lot of British stuff. Just
yes, goes without saying.
Yeah. And Harry Potter, I got so tired after episode after episode. I was like, stop.
They kept them working, didn't they?
They did. But I remember her work. Yeah.
Yes.
And I did I think I did the Downton Abbey when they went to France or Italy or something. The one where they did kind of like a spinoff, not necessarily, where she was given a villa somewhere. It was good. It's like, okay, I will watch this because I don't do series. I'm like, can y'all just tell me the story in an hour or two? Or just, no, they have to.
And say I love series because I love television, but for some reason, Downton Abbey, and I tried, I could not get into it. Maybe I need to try again because I do enjoy British television, British dramas. I grew up on them, but for some reason, Downton Abbey, I could not get into. I don't know what it was. And the funny thing is, it's very similar to, there was a reality show that PBS had called The 1900 House, and it took place in outside of London, right, in the countryside. So it was a modern British family that lived in London, and they had to live in this mansion in the countryside as if it was 1900. And so that included everything. And I remember the episodes like, washing the hair, you had to use what they used. One of the mother had like a toothache. And so she went to a dentist who practiced dentistry, but also in the style of the 1900s. So he said, well, we can do it the way they did it. And she was like, no, let's do it the modern way. But Mark says, I need to try again. It's fantastic. And Dame Maggie is hysterical. Yeah, I will try again. I just tried with one episode and I was like, okay, I don't know. Perhaps I need to try again. Maybe I need to do it when, I don't have anything else to really do to compete with it, because I was like, I'm kind of bored. So I'll try it again. But if you're trying to get me to watch Game of Thrones, the answer is no. I did not enjoy that at all. I tried with 3 episodes and I'm like, this is rubbish. It's not for me.
Yeah. I recently was watching the Rings of Power. I was like, okay. Because I liked the Lord of the Rings and I wanted to know what the backstory is. And now I'm like, okay, catch me up. Get me to the part where we're at the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Not everything is for everyone, and that's okay. But I will promise that I will try Downton Abbey again, because Kevin, I almost hated to tell Kevin, my podcast partner, Kevin, Mark. I almost hated to tell Kevin that I didn't get into Downton. He was like, and he, how he's really dramatic with it makes you feel bad when he was like,
what do you mean you didn't get into it?
Yes, I was like, I tried, and we're TV twins. And I couldn't get into it, but I'm going to try again. So rest well to Dame Maggie Smith. Let's talk a little bit about what is happening in the media industry. But before that, I do want to talk about, this is actually a little bit of tech, but I think it's appropriate.
Okay.
I don't know if you talked about this or you saw this, but OpenAI is actually going to shift to a for-profit company.
Did not know that, or did not hear that.
Yes. So OpenAI is planning to become a for-profit company. And this is, according to The Guardian, that shift could encourage them to cut corners on safety. This is according to a whistleblower. So William Saunders is a former research engineer at OpenAI, and he told The Guardian he was concerned by reports that the ChatGPT developer was preparing to change the corporate structure and would no longer be controlled by the nonprofit board. He says this: I'm most concerned about what this means for governance of safety decisions at OpenAI. If the nonprofit board is no longer in control of these decisions and Sam Altman holds a significant equity stake, this creates more incentive to race and cut corners, which means safety would be at play there. So I wanted to mention that because I didn't know if you had heard that they are looking to switch to a for-profit company.
I had not, but I'm trying to think, would that do anything different? Because we still, even if when they were nonprofit, there's still safety concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. But you don't have that governance and the governing board to oversee that. when you become a
Well, okay.
for-profit company. So
When they
now,
when they kicked him off the board, they were still nonprofit, and that
correct.
wasn't looking too stable because
No,
it
it
was
wasn't.
they kicked him off the board, they fired some people, moved some people, so they wasn't looking too good anyway.
They were not. So yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it may not matter, but I think they're trying to stave off catastrophe in terms of safety with this.
Yeah,
Not saying
and
that anything catastrophic is going to happen, but
yes, I think it paid or not paid, it needs to have some safety, some guardrails up. You know, like when you get on the roller coaster, they put the little thing down. They don't let you just get up there in a crate with a string.
no, they don't. It's not Coney Island. Anyway. Back in the day it was just a string, but now it's like really safe. Okay. So yeah, so I wanted to mention that. I wasn't sure if you all had heard that.
Had not.
But speaking of fired, like Sam Altman was initially, we've got some shakeups happening in the media industry. Scripps is actually laying off 200 staff. And they're not the only one. Disney has layoffs underway. There are hundreds of corporate staffers that are being impacted by that. So, as part of what they're saying, quote, cost saving initiative, about 300 people so far are affected by the layoffs. They actually started 2 days ago. So they started the layoffs 2 days ago. And these positions are all based in the US across Disney's corporate operations. That includes legal, HR, finance, and communications. And the divisions that are not impacted in this round of layoffs are the parks, ESPN, as well as Disney Entertainment. This is what a Disney spokesperson said to Deadline. We continually evaluate ways to invest in our businesses and more effectively manage our resources and costs to fuel the state-of-the-art creativity and innovation that consumers value and expect from Disney. As part of this ongoing optimization work, we have been reviewing the cost structure for our corporate level functions and have determined that there are ways for them to operate more efficiently. So this follows the July 31st round of layoffs at Disney Entertainment Television. They laid off about 140 people, representing about 2% of the total workforce. And Disney Animation Studio Pixar reduced their staffs by 14% in May. So now this is like a third round of layoffs, basically. So part of this is because of a soft ad market. Even though there's a lot of spending on political ads and live sports, pay TV is declining rapidly. Okay, it really is. And so that means that ad dollars are migrating to digital platforms. So that means that some of these other more traditional places where you see ads are not getting the ad spend.
Right. And yeah, so everybody's got to pivot.
Right. And the thing is, too, remember, these are for-profit companies and they are focused on profit. So all of these legacy companies like Disney are slashing streaming costs as well because they're all focusing on profitability of their platform. So they're looking at profit because, remember, these are also publicly traded companies. I think sometimes we forget that these companies are publicly traded. And they are beholden to shareholders as well. And shareholders like to see cost-cutting measures. Not that they necessarily want to see layoffs. It's that they like to see cost-cutting measures. It's unfortunate that they could not do it in other ways. True. So, but again, it begs the question, do these industries need to make as much money to stay salient and afloat?
I'm wondering if they would have asked the people to take a pay cut instead of just taking the jobs out completely.
Right, which is called a furlough.
Yes.
I've been furloughed before. It is not fun. But
yeah, it's not, because they did it here for the state of California, and it was that or, no job.
Right. Right.
And so, well,
It yeah, but it also begs the question, can you not manage the money that you are given, because these are state, because at the time I was working for the, and I still do, I was working for the state of Maryland because I taught at Morgan, and the university I teach for now is in the state of Maryland, but it's not this university. When I taught at Morgan, we had a furlough. And so, that's when I first found out, it's like, that's not what the heck I signed up for. But then it's like, okay, rather than have no job, they cut across the board. But my thing is, if you are a state agency, this is any state agency, how is it that you're not managing the money that is given? Because state agencies function off of tax dollars, etc. Are you, what is missing? What is the disconnect here? That there is a problem, because I don't appreciate having money taken out of my check.
Right. And it probably goes back to a whole lot of stuff. There was mismanagement somewhere, or they agreed to pay something that they shouldn't have been agreeing to pay in the state. Everybody thinks that states have just boatloads of money. And when they put some of these initiatives in or some things in, they just think, okay, well, we're going to charge another tax, or we're going to do this, and think that's going to make up. But then other people getting paid on top of that, you know what I mean? It's just, there's a lot that goes on the back.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark has a comment about Downton Abbey.
Yes, he says, Kevin and I teamed up against our friend Jennifer because of her failure in watching Downton.
I didn't know Jennifer didn't watch Downton Abbey. I'm glad I didn't say anything.
Word on the street is that Terralina was furloughed from today's Biz Chicks episode.
Allegedly. Yeah, that's what it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotta love Mark Ward.
Yes.
You have to say his whole name. Mark Ward.
Yes, because it doesn't do it any justice without the Ward. It's got to be Mark
Ward. Exactly. It's like when I was in high school, there in this science and technology program, there was one student. Her name was Linda Woods. Nobody said her name. Nobody called her Linda. We all called her Linda Woods. So they're just some people you need the first and the last name.
Correct.
Absolutely. Mark Ward is one.
Yes, it is. Yes, he is.
So let's move on from that. So we're going to continue to see these things. So this is a relevant conversation because we're going to continue to see layoffs and things throughout the media industry as everyone seeks to streamline. But again, as somebody now who I am media industry and have been for a while, but actually has a streamer, I had to look and see, in terms of costs and things,
yes,
what actually needs to go, what is not working, and that type of thing, and that's going to benefit in the long run as we grow. Okay, we're in good financial shape, and it starts with the base. So
correct.
So I understand. Okay, let's talk a little bit about X. So this is tech, but it's also media. TJ didn't mention this, but
no,
X has released their first transparency report since Musk took over. So they published it on Wednesday, and the report consists of content moderation practices and shows that the company has removed millions of posts and accounts from the site within the first half of the year. They suspended nearly 5.3 million accounts in that time, compared with the 1.6 million that they reported suspending in the first half of 2022. They also say that they removed or labeled more than 10.6 million posts for violating platform rules, about 5 million of which is categorized as violating its, quote, hateful conduct policy. Posts containing violent content, or about 2.2 million, or abuse and harassment, about 2.6 million, also accounted for a large portion of the content that was labeled or removed. But they didn't distinguish between how many posts were removed and how many were labeled. So there was no distinguishment there. So interesting, because in April of last year, they did a blog post in lieu of this transparency report, and they said that they required users to remove 6.5 million pieces of content that violated. So that's in contrast to what they're saying this year with the 5.3 million accounts. So anyway, there are some people, according to AP, that have blamed Elon Musk for turning a fun platform into one that's chaotic and toxic. I have to beg to differ there. I did enjoy Twitter in its early days. I did enjoy Twitter, but I have to say that there has always been toxicity on Twitter.
On Twitter, right.
It has always been a toxic platform. It's just now that you have a clearly toxic person in charge, it exacerbates the toxicity. So it's always been toxic. Let's just be clear. So yeah, that is what is happening over there. They have their transparency report out. Anybody who is interested, you can actually go to the AP article and click, and you can get that report if anybody cares.
Right. And again, I really don't think he wanted this company when he did all this.
He didn't. That's why he tried to renege and backtrack and say, oh, I didn't say, and try to say, well, no, I can't buy it because there are too many bots and they're not doing any problem. But he was made to buy it. When you made the offer, he was going to be forced to buy. And so that he was forced to buy it. And so now this $44 million, and this is why you're getting 44 billion. This is why you are getting all these costs that are associated. You want to make corrections? All right, Twitter Blue. You want to do this? Okay, Twitter Blue. Oh, I'm sorry, you are not Twitter Blue, therefore you can no longer live stream on our platform. So
Right.
In a way, okay, yes, he has taken a lot of the fun out of it. Not that it was hugely fun before, and it was toxic. He's made it even more toxic though, and now it's not a place that anybody wants to be. I just keep my Twitter account just because, you don't want anybody pretending to be you, so I'm keeping that. But as far as being really active and posting as much, and then completely, Indie Soup does not broadcast on Twitter at all because we're not paying him. To me,
no.
he's a toxic individual and he has toxic views. I'm not funding toxicity. I will not. And so these are the things that we have to think about and it's not just Twitter or X or whatever they're calling themselves these days. This is any company that has views that do not, that cause you cognitive dissonance, right? That do not align with your values. Because it's only a matter of time before it's you that they're after. I saw this the other day. There's he's a TikToker and an Instagram person. Is his name Victor? And he is in New York and goes around to mostly in the Caribbean neighborhoods and gets to know them and it's like a docuseries, and it's wonderful. I said in the comments, I need you to apply for Peabody because this is great. So he said he just did one about Haitians and how there's a lot of denigration of Haitians, not just now, but always when it comes, even people in the Caribbean, there's always been this kind of this kind of slight anti-Haitian thing or this mockery, I should say, of Haitians. And you saw it in the comments, that's what people said about Haitians. And the host said this, people need to realize that you're not special, you're just next. When it comes to that type of thing. So relating that to Twitter, X, or whatever it is, and Elon, and then the hatred and supporting platforms that do things to particular groups, you're not special. You're just next. So let's think about this.
Right.
Mark has a comment.
Let me see, because I was looking for something. Here we go. Mark says Elon has rigged the algorithm. My feed is filled with right-wing insanity from people with whom I am not connected, and Elon's posts are toxic. The toxicity is more evident because of his changes.
Correct.
Now, I don't see all of that because I turn off all of that. I don't know what I did, but I turned off some stuff. Maybe it's because I'm only following people who talk about tech and stuff. I don't do news, so I'm not seeing that amount of stuff. I really don't participate.
Yes, I've done the same thing in terms of turning off stuff. I've turned off. I either blocked him or Musk himself. I don't want to see any of his stuff. So you can make different social platforms work for you. It just takes some effort.
It
But
does.
again, I'm there, but I'm not as active because I don't want to support tomfoolery and hatred. So, all right, I have some more news for you. Let's hop on over to television. If you didn't know, Hoda Kotb is stepping down as the co-anchor of NBC News's Today Show.
Oh,
Yeah, so she has anchored the news portion of the Today Show with Savannah Guthrie since early 2018, and she's going to step down from the flagship morning show early next year. So she turned 60 last month, and she said, I realized it was time for me to turn the page at 60 and try something new. And she said this on air, fighting back tears. And she's co-anchored Today with Savannah Guthrie, as I said, since early 2018. They were the show's first all-female anchor team. And yeah, so here's the thing. So as she says, she's going to stay with Today through the start of next year and continue with NBC in an unspecified role. Yeah. So that's the end of an era. What I don't know and what is not clear, and I know Today, but is she leaving the Today Show?
I don't know.
It says, so they're not clear. And this is NBC News saying this, okay? I'm like, you all are not being clear. So she is, she co-anchors the news of Today, and then there's the Today Show. So they have like the third hour of Today and things. So she does the third hour of the Today Show with Jenna Bush Hager.
Okay.
But it does not say that she is stepping down from that, just the news part of it. So I don't know if that also means that she is not doing the Today Show. But from what I'm seeing, this is what it feels like from the feel of the article. And this is from NBC News. It feels like she's stepping down from everything, but it doesn't specifically say that. It just says the news. So
yeah, I don't know.
Let's look. I will tell you in just a moment, because you would think that
would have been more clear
because it's from her network. So I'm like, well, I don't need to bother with that. This is like a press release. If I'm getting it from NBC News, I don't need to look at in 10 million different places. So I'm looking. CNN says Hoda Kotb is leaving NBC's Today. Yeah, they're more clear on CNN or clearer.
But CNN is not her network.
It is not. It is not. Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're saying So they said this: Cotby's exit represents one of the biggest changes to the morning television landscape in at least a decade. Shows like Today and ABC's Good Morning America are highly profitable parts of their parent companies and are cultural icons, even as the broadcast business shrinks overall. Okay, so that right there tells us, if they're making that parallel with Good Morning America, that yes, they are talking about the Today Show, and she is leaving Today as a whole thing. NBC, whoever wrote that, you need to be clearer. And that's her network. And I had to go to another network to look, and I shouldn't have, because that's like a press release. But anyway, yes. Okay. So Mark says Hoda is stepping down from the Today Show. Yes. Okay, good. Because I don't watch Today on a regular basis to have seen the actual broadcast. So it was clear on CNN. Thank you,
Oh, he
CNN.
has another comment here, and this may be a rabbit trail.
Oh boy.
Oh, is he kidding?
Goodness gracious. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people that are going to
okay.
be.
So Mark is joking again.
He's joking. He's joking. Yeah, there are a lot of people that are going to be affected by that. It's only a wheel of time before the ball starts rolling on that. But she won't be in that number. But there may be some other high-profile people that are. Yeah.
Isn't that why your parents tell you watch where you go and who you hang with?
Watch the company you keep.
Yes.
Watch the type of company you keep. I'm telling you, you don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and then have to explain later why. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of monsters,
go ahead.
The Menendez family slams the Monsters series, which is on Netflix. Sorry. Yeah, it is on Netflix. Yeah. And said that Ryan Murphy never spoke to us. Quote, never spoke to us. So they're now sharing, the Menendez family is now sharing their thoughts on the Netflix series Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. They're accusing co-creator Ryan Murphy of never speaking to the relatives of Eric and Lyle Menendez, who are incarcerated, and they are the subjects of the hit Murphy and Ian Brennan series. It's in a statement from the 24-person extended Menendez family shared on social media just yesterday. The family members began by saying that after the brothers have been imprisoned for more than 3 decades for the 1989 unaliving of their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, they know them, love them, and want them home with us. Goodness gracious.
Okay, so, okay.
Hold on a second. They're also calling Monsters a grotesque shaka drama, and that they have been victimized by the series, which has been #1 in the U.S. on Netflix since its September 19th release. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, had they not done it, we would not be here.
Well, that is the overarching theme to this argument.
If they didn't do it, then you all would not have anything to complain about.
Absolutely. So this is what the family also said of the producer and showrunner. Murphy claims he spent years researching the case, but in the end relied on a debunked Dominic Dunn, the pro-prosecution hack, to justify his slander against us and never spoke to us. Okay. The family went on to call Monsters a character assassination, saying they know what went on in their home and the unimaginably turbulent lives they have endured. Many atrocities one should never have had to bear witness to. And they ended the statement by turning the series back on Murphy and Netflix and all others involved for not having an understanding of the impact of years of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Perhaps, after all, Monsters is all about Ryan Murphy. Goodness gracious myself. So here's the thing. What we do know, and I did not know before, and I think I made this point here, the fact that Jose Menendez was one of the people responsible for putting together the hit group from the 80s, Menudo.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
there was a lot of abuse and things allegedly that went on there.
Yes. And so there was a whole lot of stuff. And so if you be quiet, this all goes away. Nobody's not, just don't try and defend it.
Exactly. Mark asks, do they get Netflix in prison? How were they able to see it? I don't know that the Menendez brothers saw it. The family members saw
A
it.
family member saw it, but there was some stuff. There was more going on than what we saw back in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. This
And-
was
I was going to say, people don't get to cry foul in this situation.
no,
I mean,
absolutely.
you can, but
You know what makes me wonder and I know people love true crime, which is why they gravitated to Dahmer that he did, why they gravitate to Monster. I'm wondering why he's gravitating to these stories. This is nothing I would ever want to produce, even if it is well produced, even if it tells the story. Why do we want to tell? Well, I understand why we want to tell these stories, because
train wrecks.
people like to watch it, because Ryan Murphy also does American Horror Story. So
Okay, that explains that, because
yeah,
American Horror Stories is weird. Just
the only thing that I like that Ryan Murphy did, Pose, that he was involved with, is Pose. That's
the
it.
fashion thing.
The LGBTQIA plus community in the 80s in New York, about Black and brown LGBTQIA plus people in the ballroom scene.
Okay.
I adored that series. It was wonderful. Oh, he did Glee too. That's right. Glee, meh. I watched some of Glee. I think it was good, but I don't know. The people on there were too troubled for my liking. So you're right. He did do Glee. So the only thing I liked really was Pose. Pose is, if you to look at Glee and then look at Pose, and then in fairness, it's apples and oranges, because you look at Glee, that's something that was on network television. There are very specific parameters around what you can do. And then you look at Pose, which is on, FX, which is a cable channel. You have more leeway in terms of what you can actually do and talk about. And then this is several years removed. So I saw growth in what he was able to do. But if you like true crime, if you like it, I like it for you. Anyway. So that's what's happening. That with the Menendez brothers, the family is none too happy with the portrayals. But as you said, you don't get to cry foul and wolf when things. I mean, are they maintaining innocence? This is what
If they're saying we didn't do it, nobody said they didn't do it. That was in all of that. Nobody didn't say they didn't do it. So.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about some news against Newsmax, the conservative news channel. They have settled in the defamation suit with Smartmatic over election lies on the eve of the trial. So they settled. There was a lawsuit brought by Smartmatic, and if you know, Smartmatic is the machines, the voting machines, right? The company that makes the voting machines. And they were alleging fraud. And I don't know, did Fox News say this too? I believe they may have, but Newsmax was really guilty and loud and wrong about that. And that's dangerous to make those types of allegations, and it is irresponsible journalism. So, of course, and rightfully so, they sued. And so on the eve, the deal was reached yesterday after jury selection started. So in the terms of the agreement, averts a trial, which was scheduled to start with opening statements next week, but they didn't disclose the terms. And the company said in a statement, Newsmax is pleased to announce it has resolved the litigation brought by Smartmatic through a confidential settlement.
Mm-hmm.
The lawsuit was filed in 2021 in Delaware Superior Court, accusing Newsmax of promoting lies that the company helped rig the election by switching votes. It alleged that Newsmax aimed to draw viewers from Fox News, which had seen its ratings at the time dip after the former president denounced the network for calling Arizona for Joe Biden. So, they said Newsmax knew it had a story that it was getting people to tune into its shows, so Newsmax ran the story night after night. Newsmax knew it was a lie the whole time. So Smartmatic continues to pursue a similar defamation suit against Fox News with damages estimated at $2.7 billion, and that trial is slated to start next year. Now, what I can't stand, and this is why I don't like those news networks. If you are going to report the news, which is supposed to be a public good, you have to report the truth. It's one thing to have a news program or an opinion program with informed opinion based off, because even if you're giving an opinion, it needs to be based off of something in truth and you bring it forward. Those two, in particular, One America News Network is guilty of it too. So Newsmax, Fox News, and One America News Network are extremely guilty of fear-mongering and using fear to get people to believe the stories. That's not journalism. I don't know what school you went to the point where I would get internships all the time for my students from the different. They somehow found out I was a communication person and they would send me the things. Fox News sent one. I refused to give it to my students because I'm not going to be responsible for handing you over to the devil. I'm not. So, it's one thing if you can learn something, and you don't have to agree with people. It's not that I'm anti-conservative or whatever. What I'm not is I'm anti-lies. So what I'm not going to do is have my students, as a responsible communication professor and a responsible journalist, I'm not going to give now, if they find it on their own, that's one thing, but I'm not going to give it to them.
Right. Cause that whole, I took I took journalism or something, or I learned journalism in a brief little spat in history, right? The basis of it was no yellow journalism. You're supposed to present both sides and you're supposed to do it truthfully.
Yes.
That's all. I don't know what happened to stuff. I was like, how are you coming up with something and just say it and think this is okay?
Absolutely. And where are your sources? The only reasonable settlement is for them to go away. Exactly.
And Mark says, have you seen the film Network? It was made in the 70s, but it is prophetic before its time. Once news became a part of the entertainment division and a moneymaker, it stopped being news. That might be the thing.
Yeah, Network is a classic. And that's where that line, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. Yeah, that's where it came from. It is a classic. It is very prophetic, as Mark says. And you know what? I think it was a sign of the times.
Yes,
not
because
even before its time, a sign of the times, which continues into now.
right.
Ever since the days of yellow journalism, ever since the days of discovering that you could make a profit from newspapers by selling ads. This is why we have a news hole. It tells you the point that there's a news hole, that the news goes in the hole after all the ads have been placed. That tells you where the mines is.
Right. So your story may not get in there unless you attach a couple of dollars to it.
No, exactly. And then it doesn't cover the full. So and granted, there's more that goes on than we can actually cover. It's impossible to cover everything. So you do have to think about what story is going to have the greatest impact for the most people.
Right.
That's part of it. But there's also the other part of what story is going to get viewers to watch and up our ratings, and therefore advertisers will want to advertise during our
Yeah.
broadcast.
So somebody rescuing the little kitty cat from the tree is not going to make it, even though it's a story locally.
Yeah, I keep telling you that time. I remember it was WSVN News here, which everybody calls the sexy news because the way, well, that's Miami for you. I guess being from, New York, being in DC and such, I'm used to a different way of dressing. Not that it's necessarily conservative, it's still stylish, but some of these news people here look like they're going to the club. So the WSVN News, I was like, they covered, it was like breaking news that a horse had fallen into a hole in Davie, a pit. And I'm like, this is all that you have to talk about at noon? There's nothing else? And that was breaking news. That let me know right there. So, it's very interesting. Every news outlet has their own news agenda, but everybody wants the one that is going to draw eyes.
Right. And somebody said, if it bleeds, it leads.
Yes, absolutely. If it bleeds, it leads. All right. I think I have one more story for you off of that too. Let's see. Where are we? If it will. Oh, just to. Yeah. Here we go. So. Here we are. Just to let you know, speaking of CNN, CNN's website is going to add a paywall. Now, if you noticed, I just went to CNN and I'm able to freely look at a lot of different things and, without a problem. And that generally happens when you look at news outlets that are connected to, for example, television news. The profits in television news in terms of advertising are larger than the profits in newspaper, magazine, radio, that type of thing. So that's why you'll notice many of the cable news channels, their websites, there's no paywall or whatever, because it gets funded by now there is advertising on their sites, right? But it does also get funded by the advertising from the television news as well. But I guess as we've been talking about, it is cable and traditional television is really waning. And so that also means that advertisers are hopping over to digital. So what do? We add a paywall. So CNN is planning to add a paywall to the website, building on a system that asks readers to register by email. So they haven't confirmed the paywall. This is according to the Washington Times, but two people familiar with the decision told the Times on Thursday, that the New York Times on Thursday, that the paywall will launch next month. So it's going to prompt frequent readers to pay after they look at a certain number of articles. And we see this all the time. It's like, you have one free article left. And I'm like, then I have another place to go. I just copy the title of the article and find it someplace else because somebody else has it. So yeah, absolutely. So what I did not know is that CNN is the most visited news site in the US. So in July, they hinted in an internal memo that they were going to move towards subscriptions. And CEO Mark Thompson told employees he wanted to make, quote, best-in-class subscription-ready products that will provide need-to-know news, analysis, and context in compelling news formats and experiences before the end of this year. And so they began testing a registration wall in June, asking high-frequency readers to provide an email without asking them to pay. He said, we can identify a really attractive, very strongly engaged, tenured, and qualified news audience who I think could be very attractive to advertisers as well. You see that? He's not even hiding it. That's exactly what it is about. Now, in addition to this, we see layoffs and things happening there. This is probably another way for them to raise revenue in addition. So you've seen there are a lot of changes happening in the media industry. A lot of things are happening in the media industry, and just watch. So that type of thing, say to yourself, what opportunities, if I'm in media, what opportunities does that provide for me? What could I do as a source, since we're looking at increasing, because if it starts with CNN, if it goes to CNN, other companies may follow suit. All we have to do is look at the airline industry, and when people started charging for baggage, and we said, what kind of stupidness is that? But then all the other airlines start charging for baggage, with the exception of Southwest, who really just kind of builds that into the cost of flying. So I think this could be a baggage situation where we start seeing other news sites charging or putting some things behind a paywall. And that's what I have for you today.
Yes, thank you so much. With that behind the paywall, when there was somebody says, "Oh, check this, the full story here," and you click it and it goes to the New York Times, we need you to subscribe. I'm like, no, I got enough. I'm good. Just stop.
Exactly. And I'm not faulting, because I don't expect journalists to work for free. It is a business. I expect them to do things. But my thing is, you can't be salty when you offered the goods for free in the first place, and now you want to charge and wonder why people are upset or why people don't want, because you've been free all along. Now, that doesn't mean you can never change, but I think there has to be a way. You have to find a way to do things, because I think the public views the news as a public service.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they're like, well, why are you charging me to know what I'm supposed to know? Isn't it your job to inform us?
And they were doing that at first. And now they're not. So they want us to pay. I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, the better thing to me is to come up with tandem products to make money off of to do this. So let's look at New York Times has always been subscription, right? And it's always, you could read a certain amount of things for free. Fine. But let me tell you what makes them a lot of money. Their games.
Right. And because people want something to do, and if you give me all the games in the packet or put it over there in the App Store and get paid, what would happen if they put it in the App Store, get paid, $3.99 or whatever per person?
Exactly. And then the New York Times, they have if you have the app for the games, you could subscribe and you get all these games, right?
Plus the stories.
Plus, exactly. So it's honestly, the thing I love about the New York Times is the crossword puzzles, because I love crossword puzzles. And then they acquired Wordle. So they have Wordle now, and they have Connections, all these really fun games that people who read, they know their audience. People who read the New York Times tend to like things like puzzles. They tend to be very smart individuals, and they love that type of thing. So they know their audience and like, you know what? We can pull this out of here and make this an entire app, and people will pay a subscription for it. And they do. So I think that's what these news sites need to think of. They need to look at what newspaper has done and how they're making that extra money. They're doing it. Look at NPR and what they've been able to do with what they have, even though that's like more government/public funded. The fact that they have the Tiny Desk concerts and they've pulled that into an entirely separate thing, and it's so popular and profitable for them. So I would say, what can you do news-wise that would have the effect of a New York Times games thing? Could you do a package of news-related games? Just know who your audience is and make products geared toward them. I think that's a better way than charging people every month to get the news. Or you can leave the biggest one, some of them free, and then like Adweek does an Adweek Plus. So I get some of the stories. I don't subscribe to Adweek Plus, but I get some of the stories, the basic stories, through Adweek. But then if you want this special story that's like breaking, that's Adweek Plus, and you have to subscribe to that. Do that.
Right. And then I don't think they're in the lineup. You know how Apple Plus has all of the uh, the newspapers and magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they're part of that, because if I'm paying Apple Plus and the Apple Plus is paying you, then I should be getting that in my feed. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Oh,
I should not have to have a subscription for that.
subscription. One other thing about CNN, if you remember, they earlier this year had a streamer, CNN Plus. They shuttered that. It was only a few months, and then they decided to close it. Well, again, it tells me that you're not really reading the room, and you may not know exactly who your audience is. Did any of them really say, I would love a CNN Plus, a separate streamer with all, because what are you going to do? They didn't think it through, because they actually do have some wonderful documentaries, if you know, and they could have made that a whole separate thing so you get access to it, but they didn't think it through. So before you do this, think through some of these other things. And I think that's probably a reason for this subscription paywall thing now, because again, they spent so much money on this CNN Plus, if it didn't work out. And so now they have to figure out how they're going to make more money and recoup what was lost from the launch of CNN Plus.
Yes. Dr. Chachi, thank you for bringing these wonderful stories to us.
Absolutely.
And little nuances, and it causes you to think bigger. That's what we want to do here.
Yes.
Mark says today's 4-minute mark is about vision and why you need one. And if you got 4 minutes to spare, which we probably do, tune in. You can find him at Ask Mark Ward on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Will do, Mark. Love the podcast.
And be sure to check out Dr. Tachi's IndieSoupMedia.tv. And there are so many interesting guests or presenters there. When I'm perusing through, just so you know, YouTube is serving you up. It pops up. I was like, oh, the CEO something pops up, and I'm like, oh, that's Indie Soup Media. So your creators are coming up on those, being served up by YouTube.
Oh, that's good.
Right, because I get YouTube Premium, so I don't get ads, but I do get them serving me up. Perhaps you like this.
That's good to know.
Yes. I was like, okay, so I don't get an ad, but I still have to swim. They're like I said, they're not ads, but they.
They're going to get you one way or the other, miss.
It's like I thought I was out. Whew. But this was good. So if you like this and you want some more, we invite you to become a part of the Biz Chicks community. You can text Biz to 33777, or you can just go to bizchicks.net. We do not spam. We will just bring you information as it comes up. We're looking forward to some contributions on our Substack page from TJ and Dr. Tachi and others who have something to say, and we'll send those out periodically. Like we said, we hate spam too, and so you will never get that from us. We want to say thank you for tuning in today. As always, we're here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle so that you can build a profitable business that's fun to run, and we'll see you on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye.